a lot of students tend to kind of find it a little bit difficult to wrap their mind around what this is all about. Okay. Now, I'm going to throw at y'all. I actually wrote a few things that I want to talk about when it comes to this, just because I want it to be structured. And I'm going to tell y'all why compounding matters. First and foremost, I believe at this point that we have a pretty good grasp of what compounding interest is, right? This idea that you can invest money in a continuous fashion and reinvest the interest with your principal to earn much more money than what you would have gotten if you just saved some funds, or if you just accrued some simple interest. But that's not what matters. What I'd like to show you all is a quick example. Okay, let's say, and we're going to do it together. Let's say that we had $100 that we invested today. All right, we invested today, and we know we could get a 10% interest rate. All right, so 10 is our K. 10 is our K. We could call it our effective annual rate. Okay, so we know we could make 10% per year, and we invested $100 today. Could somebody tell me how much interest did we make this year? Could somebody tell me how much interest did we make this year if we are making 10% per year? Could somebody tell me in the chat how much interest are we making this year? Well, Lead says 10. I need like a few more people because this is a very easy question. If we invested $100, okay, after 1 year, if our interest rate is 10% per year, we made 10 bucks, 100%. So we made $10. We could write this right here. Give me a sec. Yeah, so we made 10 bucks. All right. So if I were to ask y'all, what is the total amount of money do we have now? How much total? What is the total amount of money that we got? Is it still 100 bucks? Is it 110 bucks? Is it 120 bucks? How much total money do we have? Principal plus interest. How much money do we got after 1 year? All right. Interest plus our principal. $10 plus $100. Thank you so much. All right. Now, y'all gonna see why I'm trying to flesh this out like this. So check it out. So we got 110 bucks after 1 year. Okay. And I guess here I'll write interest. So it's clear. And here's going to be principal plus interest. Okay. If you need like some visual cues. All right. So now if we invest that same $110 at 10%, how much interest did we make? Can somebody just take out your calculator super quickly and tell me how much interest did you make? $110 at 10%, how much interest did you make? Just write it in the chat super quickly. You'll see why this matters. Okay. Is it 11 exactly? Probably not, but it's okay. Oh, actually it is. Wow, look at that. It is 10%. You are correct. I just suck at math, believe. But exactly, it's $11. So we made $11 of interest from year 1 to year 2. Okay. We invested our money, we invested $110, and we made $11 of interest. So how much total money do we have now? What is principal plus interest? I need like 3 people to tell me what is principal plus interest. What is exactly? It's $121. Okay, so how much total money did we make? How much total money did we make? From the very beginning, from year 0 to year 2, how much total interest did we build? How much total interest? 21 bucks. Okay. Now, I believe that everybody here could agree that $21 is of course bigger than if we just made 10% on $100 every single year. In other words, that is bigger than making 10 bucks than 10 bucks, which would have been 20 bucks, right? That's obviously better. We made $21 total instead of $20 total. That's pretty darn good. Am I right? Yes, it is. So what this is telling us is that we made 21 bucks instead of 20 bucks. That's the value of compound interest. The ability to essentially reinvest the interest you made to make more money than just simply building it off simple interest, right? So far, are we good? Do we see the difference between simple interest and compound interest? Quick yes in the chat. Simple interest would have been 20 bucks of interest made after 2 years, and compound interest is 21 bucks after 2 years. So far, are we good? I'm going to assume that I say yes. Amazing. So that's the value of essentially compounding. What we did is that we had 10%, all right, 10%, and we know that we can invest that every single year. Now, I'm gonna get a little bit more freaky with it, all right? I'm gonna get a little bit, I'm gonna get strange with it a little bit. And you're gonna see why compounding really makes sense and why the formula works, okay? So let's say that now you're gonna have, I'll draw it on the screen. Okay. Let's say now that you have, I guess, 5%, okay? But it's going to be compounded quarterly, all right? So we're going to have 5% and it's going to be compounded quarterly. What does that mean? That means that 4 times per year, every 3 months, you are going to compound interest. Essentially, you're going to have your principal, you're going to build some interest for 3 months, then you're going to take that total amount and reinvest it, okay? We're going to visualize that for you. So let's make this simpler for us. We know that this is happening quarterly. So we know that we're going to have essentially to have something here, something here, something here, and something here. Okay. And the best way to describe what something here means is essentially we're going to distribute our 5% 4 times throughout the year. So we're going to distribute 5% into 4 times 1.25%. Okay, that's what we're saying. We're going to distribute that 4 times within the year because it is compounded quarterly every single 3 months. Okay, so this means that right here, after 3 months, you are going to build 1.25% interest on your $100. Okay, so can somebody tell me what is 1.25% of $100? Don't worry, we're going to do this step by step, and then we're going to summarize what we just did for it to make total sense. Just walk with me one by one. Yeah, so we made $1.25. I keeps on doing percentages, but that's exactly what we made. We made 1.25. So how much total money do we have, Walid, if you want to tell me? How much total money do we have right now? It's going to be 101.25. All right. So the thing is, though, because we are compounding every single quarter, we are going to reinvest $101.25 at our interest rate of 1.25%. Okay. So if we were to do 1.25% of $101.25, how much would we have? That's the last time I'm going to ask y'all, and then I'm going to do it automatically. All right. We're going to have simply, we're going to do this times 0.0125. Now you're going to have this amount right here. All done. Okay. So notice how we made, instead of $1.25 per quarter, now we're making $1.26 per quarter, such that the total amount we have after 2 periods is now $102.52. And essentially, we're going to do this again and again. So now you would have this much, you have this much, and finally, okay. So now notice that after a year, can somebody tell me how much total interest did we make from what you're seeing on the screen? How much total interest did we make? So Walid says 509. I need like maybe 2 people to just throw at me what you got, just so I see that we're on the same page. And don't you worry, we're going to make more sense out of it. I just want you to walk through the example with me. And by the way, if you have questions, you can totally ask in the chat, or just say, yo, you're talking way too fast, or this is not making sense. Maybe can we look at something again? So what about William? What do you got? Like, William, how much total interest did we make from this investment after 1 year? How much total interest did we make? right? It's going to be 105.09, right? So we made $5.09 after 1 year, such that technically our return was literally 5.0945. That was our return. Now, everybody here has seen the famous effective rate formula. And I'm gonna throw it at you on the screen, and you'll see the relationship of what we just discussed. So give me a sec. And you'll see why this matters. So everybody has seen this formula, right? We've all seen it in the past, this idea of the effective annual rate, the effective blah, blah, blah. Or if not this version, you've probably seen something that looks a little bit more like this. I'll throw it at you. Let me get it out, and you'll see why I'm bringing this up. In just a second. So you've seen something perhaps like this, maybe. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find a picture of the formula. I can't seem to find it. It's awkward. But the idea is that you've seen a formula that looks a little bit like this. If not, it looks something a little bit like ER is equal to 1 plus quoted rate over M, I believe, to the power of M over F minus 1. But what we just did right here is we kind of used our intuition to fabricate what it means to actually find an effective periodic rate or find a relationship between a quoted rate and the effective periodic rate. Now, let me tell you, if you were to use a formula, what you're really doing is as follows. You're taking the quoted rate, which is always the percentage that they're going to give you. In this case, it was 5%. And then you're dividing it, right? We took 5%. We divided it by the number of payments or the number of compounding periods within the year, okay, the number of CY, and that gave us 1.25. Then we took that 1.25 and we said, well, okay, that 1.25% actually. And we said, all right, well, if we were to essentially use that every single period, so 4 times, what would be our total interest rate for that year? And in this case, it's exactly what we did. We took $100 and we compounded it 4 times for 4 periods within that year at that essentially periodic rate, that rate for essentially just a quarter, for essentially just 3 months. And then we found how much total money was our total return after 1 year. Okay, that's essentially what we're doing. And I feel like I'm talking a lot. I feel like I'm talking a little bit to myself. So I'm going to throw it to you guys. And I'm going to ask y'all, do we have a question? Because I'm sure you do. And maybe what's not working and maybe where's the nuance? Do y'all have any questions? Do you guys, like, how are you feeling? Like, what's up? Where are we right now? Like, yeah, exactly. So I'll erase this and we'll do it together. So Waleed says, so this is what we did. Oh, maybe you want to do 1/4. Sorry about that. 1/4. But essentially what we did in this question is we took our quoted rate, right, which was 5%. Okay. Then we divided it by 4, such that it gives us 1.25%. Okay. So we got that. And then we took that amount. So I guess we'll do it like that. We took 1.25%. We did that times 100, which was the initial investment. And we did that 4 times. So we did that 4 times, essentially. We did that 1 plus 0.0125. We did that 4 times, right? Times 100. And that gave us essentially our total amount. That gave us 105.0945. Then we did that minus 100. That gave us the total dollar return that we made. But what's really interesting here is that you notice how the total dollar return that we made is exactly the percentage that we need. So if we were to put it into our formula, it would just be the same thing. You would simply just have 1, right? We do 5 divided by 4. And then you would probably have to do either over 4 or 1 over 4. I'm pretty sure it's over 4 minus 1. Don't forget that this is a percentage. That's going to give you your return. And if that doesn't work, I could even do it with you on your calculator. So you do 5 divided by 4 divided by 100. So you get your percentage base plus 1. And you do that to the power of 4. Then you do that minus 1, and you get exactly the same answer. But yeah, so Waleed, that's amazing. That answer obviously is in decimal points. So you have to do times 100 to get your actual percentage. And what is that actual percentage, Waleed? If you do that times 100, you get 5.09, which is exactly what we just did in the example. That's why I tried to visualize. And I'm totally okay with taking another 15 minutes to talk about this more, because in the next hour, we're going to do exam-like questions together. And I took like some really hard ones too. So it's going to be super fun. So we technically have another 15 minutes if you want to, or we could take a break to talk about what the heck is an effective periodic rate versus a quoted rate, and so on and so forth. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Now, do we have any other questions? Do we understand the formula? Do we understand what we're doing? How are we going? What's up? So Marianne, Vanessa, Vince, William, Yusra, Brandon, Jessica, how are we feeling? Are we feeling okay? Do we know what this is? Yeah, so the CY is a great question, William. That is for the financial calculator. And that's the second bucket that I'd like to address in just a second. So what we did here, okay, is that we noticed that our rate here, our quarterly rate is 4, right? Because we are compounding 4 times within a year. Our semi-annual rate, if we were to plug this in within our calculator or within our formula, we would put 2, right? Because we're compounding twice per year. Okay, sorry about that. I just ate food. It was like oily food, so I had to burp real quick. I'm so sorry. But essentially, what's really cool here, Waleed, is that on an exam, I think there's 2 ways to look at it. One, you could use the formula that you would plug in within your formula sheet. You are allowed a formula sheet. For the midterm, it's going to be only 1 page, but for the final, it's 2 pages. You could write that down onto your formula sheet and write an example with you, right? Or maybe 2 or 3 examples with you, so you know exactly what to do. But if that's not what you're, if that doesn't work out, if for some reason it doesn't work out on the exam, what you can do is always follow the example that we did today. Take the rate that they provide to you, right? Call it 10%, right? They're always going to give you a rate. They're going to say, hey, here's 10% compounded daily. And with that, you could just do the same little game that we did here and try to address, well, if it's compounded daily, then we need to take the quoted rate divided by the number of individual periods within the year, which is exactly what we did. And then we're just going to compound it 1 by 1, right? So you're going to do, if I were to take my example, 10 divided by 365, right? 10% divided by 365 is going to give you, I don't know, a random number. It's going to give you X. Then you could do 1 plus X. I think that I honestly believe, Brandon, that I'd rather use the formula. I feel like the formula, it's more logical. But on the financial calculator, you can use if you look at right here, I believe it's right, if you can see it. There's the ICOM function. It's somewhere here or here. I'm not sure where there. But you have the ICOM function that you could use on your financial calculator to solve for the effective and or nominal rate, for me, it's just not my favorite way to go about it. I feel like the formula is the best way. Okay, the formula is the best way because it's intuitive. And I'm gonna try to break it down again, so that we're really sure that we're on the same page. But I'm gonna ask you all again. So far, do we want another example, or are we okay with effective periodic rates and quoted rates? So if you see this on an exam, if you see something that's related to the effective rate or the periodic rate, do you know what to do? I need to see it in the chat. Like, are you comfortable with this? You see this on an exam, you know what to do. If not, ask me your question. We still got 12 minutes to go about it. Like, why not use it? So Elise says I'm good. That's amazing. What about maybe Marianne, Jessica, Brandon? Okay, so I'm super happy then. Vince, William. Okay, so we're good. Okay, so once again, it's really important to remember that going from an effective, a quoted rate to an effective rate, or a quoted rate to an effective rate, no, quoted rate to effective, effective to quoted. The idea here is that we're just simply trying to figure out, well, how can we plug this in within our timeline, right? And from there, you're just compounding interest one by one into the future. We're going to use examples afterward to make sense of it. But it seems that we're good. It seems that we know what to do. And because of that,